Hi, I'm Becca and I'm going to show you how you would move both forwards and backwards through a set of instruction slides in PsychoPy. Now, all I've done to make my slides is I've literally just made a PowerPoint. This is just to make something a little bit more interesting, and some people I know do like to use PowerPoint to make their slides. So I've just made a set of slides and exported them as JPEGs. I've done nothing fancy there. So all I'm going to do in PsychoPy is I'm just going to add an image component. Maybe I'll call this instruction image. I'm going to make the duration infinite so that the participant can view that stimulus as long as they want and use the keys to go forwards and backwards through those images. Now, the critical thing here is the way that PowerPoint outputs these slides is it will automatically call them slide 1, slide 2, slide 3, slide 4, and slide 5. So we can use this kind of numeric value assigned to these slides in order to pull in these resources through code. So all I'm going to do is in the image field here of my image component, I'm just going to use a $sign indicating that I'm going to use a piece of Python code in this field, or a variable name, which might be more familiar to some of you. And I'm just going to write instructions /slide. Now, this is just saying that I'm going to be searching in the subfolder called instructions, and my image is going to start with the word slide. I'm then going to do a plus sign, and I'm going to say slide n. Slide n will be a variable that we will be making through code, and I'll show you how we do that in a moment. And then I'm just going to say .jpeg here. Now, because this is a field that's set through a variable or code, I'm going to make sure that I set this on every repeat here. Could use every frame technically, but I'm going to use every repeat. Okay, splendid. Now, I am also going to just adjust the settings here. I know that I made my slides at a 16:9 aspect ratio, so I'm going to make the width 1.6, and I'm going to make the height 0.9, which should give a similar vibe to what I felt on the PowerPoint. So let me click OK, and then I'm just going to say add a keyboard component, and I'm going to allow the participant to press either the left or the right key to progress through those slides. Splendid. Okay, so now we're going to need one more thing. We're going to need a code component. Now, you might recall that I've made this variable called slide n. Now, at the beginning of the experiment, we're going to want to say, actually, I'll zoom in here so that you can see, that slide n is going to correspond to 1 because it's going to be the first slide that we present. What we're going to want to then say is we're going to have to wait in this routine to see if the left key or the right key is pressed. And we're going to use that to either increment or decrease this slide n value. So I'm just going to go to the end of my routine here, indicating that, this piece of code is going to be executed once my response has been made. And I'll make this bigger so you can see it. And I'm just going to say if key_resp.keys equals left, then slide n, I'm going to subtract 1. So this negative equal sign is just a way of subtracting from a variable in Python. I might then want to say elif, we press the right key, slide n is going to be, we're going to increase it by 1. Now, of course, there's going to be possibly a couple of issues here that you might have spotted. What happens if we get to a number that is less than or more than the number of slides that we have available? So because of that, I'm just going to say, right, in our begin experiment, let's also say what our max slide n is, which is 5, and our min slide n, which is 1. And all we're going to do is make sure that when we execute this conditional statement at the end, we're only executing this one, first of all, if, or let's say, actually, no, let's say here, let's do a slightly different tack. Let's say if slide n is greater than the max slide n, then we're going to cap it. And let's do the same for the minimum slide number. Which just means that we're never going to look for a slide that is more than or less than what we have available, which is between 1 and 5. Okay, splendid. Now there's just one more thing here that might go wrong. Now at the moment, slide n is a numeric value. Now what we're using this variable for is we're trying to concatenate it with our image path, which is instructions/slide, and our image extension, which is .jpeg. Now in Python, and in fact in many programming languages, that's going to cause a problem because we're trying to concatenate two strings with an integer, a numeric value. So what we actually want to do is we want to make sure that that numeric value is converted into a string when we use it. So I'm just going to here click OK, and I'm just going to, in my image component, instead of just calling slide n, I'm going to make sure that I use str and encase that value in brackets so that it is converted into a string. Okay, so we of course now need to just add a loop so that this can go around as many times as we want, essentially. Now actually the loop type here is it doesn't matter at the moment because we're not iterating through a predefined list. So we don't have anything to randomize or present sequentially, so this doesn't matter. I am going to deselect isTrials because each iteration of this loop is not going to correspond to a new trial. And I'm actually going to set nreps to, let's just say 500, because we want to allow the participant to kind of browse at their pleasure. So we just let them do this as many times as they want. Maybe we want to even use a higher number. Okay, now you don't have to do this. I'm just going to do this so that you can see this on my second screen. Oh, looks like I already set that up. Who knew? And I'm going to press run and see if this works. Now, one thing is, even if this does work, at the moment our participant doesn't have a way of getting out of the instructions. So we might want to make sure that we adjust that as well. Here are my slides on my first one. Welcome to our magical experiment. I'm going to use the forward key to move forward, and then let's use the backward key to move backwards. Hopefully, yeah, it doesn't go beyond any of my maximum and minimum slides, so that's good. So let's add the finishing touch, which is just to allow the participant a way of getting out of the slides. And you can see that on my last slide, I've said press space to start. So let's say here we will also allow the participant to press the space key. But we are not, we are then going to say here in our code, let me zoom in so that you can see, we are going to say elif, this key is space. Then we are going to end this loop. So we're not going to carry on going around. Now I was lazy, I didn't change the name of my loops. So I'm just going to say trials.finished equals true. And then hopefully that will allow us a way of ending this loop and moving on. So I'm just going to save that, give it a whirl. Let's see if it works. I'm just going to keep talking while my PsychoPy loads. Okay, lovely. Right, so we've got our slides. I'm going to move forwards, I'm going to move backwards, and then what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to use space to move on. Actually, one last thing is, of course, we probably only want to allow that if this is the last slide. So let's just make sure that in here, we want to say elif key underscore s.keys equals space. Let's also make sure that we only say if slide n equals max slide n. There we go. So hopefully using this now, if I was going to press space on any of the other slides, that wouldn't end my loop, but it would allow me to move forwards if I was on the last slide and I wanted to move forward. So let's just give that a whirl before we call this a success. So I'm going to move forwards, move backwards, I'm going to press space. it's not ending, can confirm, but if I go to the very last slide and press space, it ends. So there you have it. Thank you very much for watching this tutorial. I hope that you found it helpful, and hopefully stay tuned for more tutorials. Thank you very much.